What's good? What's poppin', everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful fucking day. We're back to New World video, and today we're talking about a couple items that I think you should be holding on to and potentially using to make a decent amount of money in New World. Um, there's a lot of good ways to make money in New World, a lot of things that you could be selling, doing, but I think these are pretty underrated, and I also think that people tend to not know the value of these things. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the thing we're talking about today are going to be crafting components. So as you know, in the trade skills, there's gathering, which is pretty self-explanatory. You know, we got your logging, mining, fishing, tracking, harvesting, just gathering materials, and the refining, which is the refining of these raw materials that you grab. But if we look at stuff like, I'm gonna go to, I know that skinning has these things for sure, because that's something that I've been leveling recently. But if we look at here, so coarse leather is a base refined material, right? Regular leather. As soon as we get into something like this, it's going to require a resource, and its tannin is this component that we're looking at here. Now you can find these in other kinds of materials like gold uses solvent or smelting gold and stuff like that. If we look at here, same thing. Flux, sorry, not solvent. Flux is what smelting uses. And then if you go over to something like the loom, we have something like sateen that requires crossweave. Now, why are these important, you might ask, is because if you think about it, every single one of these things require a crafting component. And these are things that you can find in stuff like supply chests, supply stockpiles, and the chests scattered across that you can find that aren't necessarily elite style chests, though you can still kind of get some of these materials through those. But this is where chest farming becomes a thing. So in the trading post here, we can see how much money these are actually worth and why they are probably actually going to go up in money. So if we go here, we go to resources and we go to components. So there's crafting, refining, and trinkets. So we're going to focus on like refining components here because these are things that if you go to crafting, stuff like ash stain, saltpeter, and a bunch of random things that are important, but they're more niche than something like refining components that are needed for everything for the next higher up kind of materials that people want to refine. So if we look at something like, we'll start with crossweave. Crossweave by itself is going for 68 cents a pop right now. And that might not seem like a lot, but if you go down just even a little bit, we're into the almost dollar area right here. And this is just in Windsward. If we go to all settlements and we look here, same thing. The cheapest is actually seeming to be in Windsward, which is 68 cents, Everfall 70, stuff like that. But crossweave and I would say weak solvent are kind of they're still very good, but they're not as sought out as some of these other ones. So if you look at something like solvent, same thing, it's about 60 cents, 75 is the next one. But if we go to tannin, that's where we start getting up a little bit. So this is 80 cents a pop, okay? And as we saw, tannin is for doing the leather working. But then we get to stuff like coarse sandpaper and sand flux. So coarse sandpaper is used for stone blocks, and it's almost selling for about 2 gold a pop. Which, if you like, look at this person selling 1771, so about 1800 at almost 2 gold a pop. You're looking at 3600 gold right there. That's a crazy amount for just a small material that you just get from gathering. And now if we look at sandflux, and this is the big one, we're looking at $1.80 up to $2 per for sandflux. And if you think about that, some people are selling these of 200 and that's $400 gold, which might not seem a lot, but again, this is just something that is used for basic smelting, and this is something that is a little bit harder to find, I would say, compared to some of these other refining components, but they are so attainable by anybody. You can get these at level 1, you can get these at level 60. They're so easy to find throughout the world, and just takes either just doing the main story quest line, side missions, faction missions, maybe farming some mobs in a certain location, just grabbing the supply crates. And I think that a lot of people just put these into their storage, which is fine if you were trying to maybe do some crafting yourself. But if you're focusing on like 2 or 3 different kind of craftings, like let's say you're doing, I don't know, you're focusing on logging and wood cutting and, I don't know, harvesting and skinning. The stuff that you find like the flux, and you're not going to be leveling your smelting, so you should be selling those instead. And they're going to be more and more sought out as the game continues on. And the higher level equivalents to those as well are also going to be pretty worth it. So if we look here and we can go to components, we go to refining. So these are all level the 3s, right? Now we go to shell dust flux, which is the next upgraded version of sand flux. It's going for $2 right there alone. 230, about 250, right? We go to something like potent solvent, $1. So as you can see, these aren't, I'm not saying these are 100%, you're going to get super rich in New World, easy, fast way to go. But these are things that you don't have to really farm. You just get by collecting chests throughout the world. And they're very good little extra resources of money. And they're always going to be relevant, right? Some of these things, if you think about it, weak health potions, let's just see. The first thing on the trading post here, right? Weak health potions, common focus potions, all these are going to more or less die out and not be worth anything. They're already only 1 cent. And the reason being is because as people progress through the game, the higher level material is going to be necessary. But if you think of refining materials, right, satine, you need these things to get to the next, to create satine from linen. And then there's going to be the next one after that. You need the crafting components to continue on with the refining process. Now, something that I would recommend is that if you're trying to do it for yourself and or maybe for trying to get money on the auction house, if you have them when you can, so see how I have crossweave here, doing something like silkweave here is really useful because the higher up you go, so tier 4, I think you get about 70 to 80% more material than you would if you just use normal, like, a tier 3. And if you get the tier 5, you get something like 100% more material when you refine it. So if you can, use the green for sure. But you also have to think those will be selling for a lot if you're going green, blue, or even legendary. So it's all up to you. But I just want to make you guys aware of this little thing that I don't feel like is talked about a lot. The crafting components are pretty easy to obtain. Everyone probably has them in the storage, or sometimes maybe you don't feel like you drop them or they're not useful. But I promise you, if you don't have a use for them, put them in the auction house and it'll make you a couple hundred gold at least. So yeah, guys, I think that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys have any comments about this, if you know in the comment section down below. I will be doing more renewable content. In my last video, I talked about how I'm trying to do 1 video a day for the rest of the month of October. And so this is going to be the second one in that series. So if you're wanting to go be along a ride for the journey, subscribe down below. If you like this, please, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. I know I'm doing this a little bit out of order. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I just got done streaming and I was playing every death I have in this game, I drink. And let me tell you guys, I died a lot. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Until next time, take it easy.